I'm Dajuan Johnson. Welcome to the Think Bigger Actors podcast, where I share with you different kinds of talks and coachings and conversations with actors and industry professionals on thinking bigger. I hope these conversations will help you on your path to success, because I believe success is an inside job that starts with your mindset and the thoughts you hold dominant in your mind. Change your thoughts and you change your world. Your path to thinking bigger begins now. Welcome to the Think Bigger Actors podcast. I'm your host, Dajuan Johnson, and I am blown away and so jazzed and so excited. My freaking Think Bigger Actors retreat was so amazing. It was so amazing. All 3 days, it was just so amazing. And if you were in the room, I just want to say thank you to all of the people that showed up. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you, Ben. I mean, there's just so many. Thank you, Cheryl. Like, it was just so great to have you in the room. Stephanie, all of the speakers and everybody. Like, it was just so amazing. We did the dang thing. We did it. I'll be talking more and more about this in the coming weeks, because I realized I realized I hadn't even shared with you, my family, my pod family, that I had a major booking at the end of June, beginning of July. I had a major booking for a major network pilot, which is so amazing. And we haven't been even discussed, like, I got an agent and all that good stuff, you know, because I've taken you on the agent ride with me. And I got some great aha moments that came from that whole process. And don't forget this one. I also got called a con artist and told by another teacher online that I should not be teaching anybody because I was not a real professional actor. Those are the words. I'm not a professional actor, and I'm teaching people amateur things because I broke a industry like rule, I guess, by industry secret, let's call it, by telling actors how to use a teleprompter. Sometimes, to use a teleprompter when you do your first calls or your first auditions and stuff like that, you can use a teleprompter. And boy, oh boy, the vitriol that I got from this this other teacher. And, what a freaking month the end of June and July was. And I want to go into all of that, but I'll dedicate a whole podcast to it instead of just this intro, because it taught me so much. It taught me so much about the industry and how whenever someone bucks up against the old way of doing something, it really freaks people out. And, that's just not the way I live my life, by like calling other people names and stuff like that. But here's what I'll leave you with. Just a little nugget, little taste about it. I'll leave you with this because, I had to really work in real time to really walk my talk a lot. I want you to remember this. Remember, there is momentum in success. Success has momentum. I've said that before. Success has momentum. And the only person that can pull you out of that momentum is yourself. It's like the law of inertia, right? If something's moving, the only thing that can stop it is something, a force or something like that. And you can literally keep on winning is what I want to say. I started to jump into that pool with this acting teacher who knew nothing about me and knew nothing about me teaching, who probably didn't Google me, to know that I am a professional actor. And in fact, I did jump into his sandbox a little bit. And then I remembered, Dajuan, success has momentum. Do you want to be right, or do you want to have success? And after a good cry, yes, because I did cry a little bit about this. After a good cry, I really understood that my career, my vision, my tribe, you are more important to me than trying to fight with an internet troll and stuff like that. So, you know what? Let's pause this for a moment, and we'll come back to this when I do a full pod on it, because I want to talk about Paul. I want to talk about the guest that's on here because he's so amazing. Let's jump into that. He's gonna kill me because I'm gonna embarrass him, because I'm gonna say, today on the pod we have legendary. Paul's gonna hate that. We have legendary Paul, who is a true veteran of the acting world. I mean, Paul shares his incredible journey from aspiring baseball player to renowned actor. I had no idea that he was, once wanted to play baseball, but he talks about, being guided by an unwavering passion for acting. And let me tell you, he delves into the lessons learned from decades, I mean decades in this industry, and the importance of trusting your instincts and the ever evolving nature of acting. This is why I love having, actors on that have been in the business for a long time, because wow, the stuff that he talks about, just, pursuing acting for the love of it, for really love it, and understanding that, we might all not make it. You have to be okay with you might not make it and what level of success you might get. So it is all there, and I just love this talk. I love sitting with Paul. I love it. So I hope you love it as much as we do. And hey, make sure you stick around to the end for the D12 shot where I bring it all together. Paul, how you doing?
One, how are you, buddy? How are the kids?
Good. They're great. I did not want to catch up offline with you because I want everybody to know just what such a sweetheart you are, man. You're
Uh,
you're such a great guy, and I haven't seen you in so long. So long,
uh,
man. What's up with that? Did you put in your contract avoid Dajuan after working with him? I think
no, man, it's like I hardly ever come out to LA unless it's a job.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and then with the pandemic, and then with the strike, and so but it's
Yeah.
all good. It's all
We'll
good.
get we'll get into all of that. Paul, you've been well. Every kids, all great.
My kids are well. I mean, they're grown men by now. One's going to be 30, the other one's going to be 27.
Yeah. Oh man, it's so good. It's like seeing a just a friend I haven't seen in such a long time. When I look at you, man, I have such admiration and love for you. I just want to make sure I said that publicly. You know. Yeah. Well, listen. We'll get into it. One of the things, and I have so many questions to ask you, but one of the
Mhm.
things that we never really talked about is just that was one of my first big roles when we worked together on Bosch. That was, I had done recurred on stuff, but like the
Uh-huh.
longevity there. And working with you was like a godsend because
Well,
you kind of you took me under your wing. You took me under
for,
you took me under your
for
wing.
better or for worse, for better or for worse, I don't know.
You did. And I mean, you were Paul Calderón, and and you just there was never a stupid question that I could ask. And you were just really patient with me. And is that just you, or were you just like this guy he's a train wreck. He needs help.
No, man. I'm always like that because that's what I was given
Mm,
coming up. With actors that I had respected, that I had looked up to coming up. All of a sudden, I'm with them, and they were all very giving, very helpful, and so anthropologist.
Really? It's totally
Oh
different.
yeah. Yeah, oh, so well, we're kind of similar, because you're studying cultures, you're studying people,
Yeah, yeah.
so it's very, very similar. Um, but my grades sucked, so I couldn't get into a good.
So we got you by default. We got you by default.
Well, kind of, I was lucky, because since I couldn't go to the school of my choice for anthropology,
Mm.
I wound up going to another school, and that's where this drama teacher was holding after school improv sessions,
Yeah.
and I was already in my 20s, blah, 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 when, went to college late. Um, and he saw a couple of the improvs that I was involved in. He took me aside and he said, you have some talent. You have talent? Not some. He said, you have talent.
Mhm.
He said, you have talent. You should pursue this. But I guess it's just like,
Yeah.
I didn't know how to pursue that, and then I sucked at class. I really didn't do well, uh, in college setting. I missed classes. I was debarred, meaning I was thrown out of school. Then I pleaded to be let in again. They let me in again. Then they threw me out again. They said, "What do I do? What do I do with my life?" So I joined the army.
Oh, okay.
So
That's
I
a
wound
good.
up in the army.
Yeah.
Yeah, but once in the army, I realized shit, and I hate this. Excuse the language. I hate this more than school.
You're like, this is not for me.
Yeah, I almost got court-martialed.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, and the acting got me out of the court-martial.
Mm.
I acted. There were a lot of other stories as well, which I won't go into. So then I came back home
Mhm.
because I was overseas. I was in Germany.
Yeah.
I came back home and I said, "What do I do?
Mhm.
What do I do? I can't go back to school. I could try, but I really didn't like it. What else do I like? You know, my baseball dreams were over because I had thrown out my arm.
Mm.
So I really couldn't do that. And then I said, okay, I remembered that teacher's what he said to me. You have talent, you should
Yeah.
pursue it. So I had the GI Bill, and I signed up for. I just went through the Village Voice. Used to have advertisements for acting schools, right?
Okay.
So Strasbourg, Adler, this, that, like Chekhov, Meisner. I know who taught what, and I just said I wanted Adler, and I called up Adler. They said we're all filled.
Mhm.
Sorry. I said, damn,
Darn it.
you
Darn
know,
it.
damn.
Yeah.
So then I went with the Sonia Moore studio of the theater. Sonia Moore had been Stanislavski's, for lack of a better word, like disciple.
Okay.
She had studied with Stanislavski. She had worked with Stanislavski, and also with Stanislavski's main disciple. His name was Vitangov, who's like credited as creating another style of acting, which is quite amazing. And so that's where I wound up going, and that's where I met my future wife.
Oh, yes.
Still together, yeah, still together after 45 years, something like that.
Yes. You and Kathy,
Yeah,
right? Yes.
yeah, exactly,
Yes.
exactly.
I love that. I love that. Okay. All right. I did not expect you to almost get court-martialed. I didn't expect that story like
No.
coming. That was not in the cards that I had here. They didn't say that. I'm wondering, you've just worked with so many, like, I mean, you're a powerhouse. So it's like great, but you've worked with so many people, in the industry, the De Niro's. Wait a minute. Wait. I saw somewhere that you were in Michael Jackson's Bad video. I couldn't find this, but I have to go back. So wait a minute. I couldn't find. I was look. Where were you in the video? What? Tell me
I
that.
wasn't dancing. I wasn't dancing. I wasn't dancing.
I was like, where were you in the video? And I couldn't. I wanted to bring that video up and show you. You've just done so much. And I mean, my final question here is like, I want to know about career longevity, but also I want to know about Michael Jackson's Bad video.
Okay, where do you want to start?
Let's start with Michael Jackson's Bad Video.
Michael Jackson. All right. So I was doing a play. I was doing a play with De Niro back in the
Mm.
'80s. I think it was '86. I'm giving away my age.
Yeah.
It
Yes.
was back in '86, right? So I was doing a play with De Niro. I
Hmm.
started off Broadway at the Public Theater, then moved to Broadway. Scorsese came to see it. Afterwards, went out to a nightclub with De Niro and Scorsese, and anyways, to make a long story short, he was working on the Bad Video, right? That was
Yeah.
coming up for him, and he cast me. He said, would you like to reprise your role that you did as a demented uh, junkie on a corner, on a
Oh, okay.
street corner? Yeah. So in the Bad Video, I'm in the drama section where
Okay.
they're walking through Harlem, and they're hanging on the hood of a car. Then they see this guy selling crack on the corner, and I have like a cane, and I'm limping, and I'm all scraggly, and they're thinking of holding me up. So I approach. Wesley was in it. Wesley Snipes and Michael and the other actor, and I kind of like revealed that I have a handgun in my waist. And it's just one line. You looking for something?
No, I gotta go find it.
You're looking for something.
Yeah.
And that was basically it. But it was an amazing opportunity to work with Scorsese and Jackson, Michael Jackson.
Hmm.
Got to meet him. Nice person.
Yeah.
And yeah. And Wesley was still coming up. Wesley was still struggling.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, how did
And it
what's
was cold. It was cold. It was
let's
very
just remember.
cold. That night was cold. It was like February in New York City. Michael Jackson's makeup kept cracking. I remember that. Scorsese said, "We're behind. We're behind. We're behind." Michael's makeup keeps cracking because that's the way he talks. He talks
Mhm.
very, very.
Yeah. I want to know from you, like, what is the secret to a long career? Because you've worked with all these people, and I want you like to reflect on this because I know you're a humble being. Like I know this, and I just want to like think about it because you've worked on so many beautiful things and you've reprised roles. You're doing that on Justified again, like which I didn't know about. You know what I mean? Like all this stuff. I just want to know, like, actors that are listening to this are probably like, how this guy's had such a long career, and this is a dream. It's the dream that we want. Tell me about that.
Man, it's like I told my wife the other day. I told her I don't know how I survived
Yeah, no, but
as
for
an
real.
as an actor. Because you have you have to survive those ups and downs, a lot of times you just go,
Yes.
I think like it's never gonna stop, like, and I was there. I was at the precipice, man. I mean, I think I fell off the precipice, and I was ready to go back to school uh,
Not to
because
be
I'd
an
been at it for about
anthropologist. Not to be an anthropologist.
no, to go back to studying anthropology. I
Really?
wanted that was kind of like my dream, right? So,
Hmm.
but I had already been struggling at acting for 7 years. So I've been struggling. I'd struggled for 7 years. Remember, this is before social media. This is before. I mean, we used to print out the headshots, print out the resumes, go to the copy shop. Uh, 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 I cut
Slicing.
the pictures with a slicer and the resumes. Get a stapler, staple them together and get the manila envelopes and mail them in the mail. Sometimes take them to a manager's or agent's office and slip them through the mail slot. And uh, you know, probably
Mm.
because the way I wasn't like a go getter, um, which you need to be in this business. I just it was very difficult, and also for people of color at that time. There was
Yeah.
hardly anything going on except theater. I did a lot of theater, a lot of off. I mean, I
Way
traveled to
off.
Staten
Way
Island,
off.
way off. I mean, yeah, because there was a black repertory theater in
Mhm.
Staten Island. You had to take the ferry from Manhattan and get there. And yeah, got cast in several of the productions. First Place of Summer, No Place to Be Somebody. It was great. I mean, I love that we weren't getting paid.
Mm.
We was just doing it for the love of it, you know. And but after 7 years of just doing off Broadway and doing just menial jobs to help me along, I said I can't do this anymore. I got to go back to school. Go back to school, and so I went to City College downtown near Battery. Remember, I was at the registrar's office, ready to fill out registration and everything, and then a voice in my head said, "Can't quit."
Mm.
He said, literally, I heard it. He said, "You don't want to regret it. You don't want to regret it. You have to be absolutely sure." And that voice just led me. I remember I made a left turn. I think I was next in line to fill out the registration, right? And I walked out. And I kid you not, within a month, I got my first film. I got my first off-Broadway play. And I was accepted. We auditioned. My friend and I auditioned for the prestigious actor studio in New York, where thousands of actors audition per year to get in and be seen by the elite. I got in my first attempt, and then I got my first agent. So within like a month, 2 months, that was all happening because again of that voice in me. So whatever that voice was, that's the reason why I'm here 40 plus years later.
Well, well, you really truncated that. That's not fair. Wait, hold on. That's there's more to that. Oh, he's like, and here's where I am, you all. And I'm like, no, 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 no.
Mhm.
Let's back up. First of all, what do you think shifted in that little time between that voice? Because something is, if you're saying 7 years was happening, and you were pounding the pavement, the
Mhm.
proverbial pavement or the real pavement,
Mhm.
you're pounding it, and then you get to this point where it's like, I'm good. I'm good. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to go to school. There's a voice you hear, but then a month later, you're booking a film, you're booking your off Broadway, you get accepted to what happened in there? It can't just be a voice. Did you shift inside? Did
Yeah, you
Kathy?
shift. I mean, don't know. The voice shifts. Kathy had already given up acting. She quit.
Mhm. No, I mean, did
She
she
had
shift
left.
you? Did she tell you to get it
No,
together?
no,
Like,
no,
no.
no, no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no,
Yeah.
no. It was just that voice. And again, it is a shift. That voice, you hear it, you feel it, and it shifts something in your being. So then it was like I felt a commitment that hadn't been there before.
Mm.
I am totally committed to this. I have to give it 100%. Maybe I was giving it 98%, and it's
Yeah.
never any good. 99% is not good.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's about 150%. And I just committed to it 150%. And guess that's what I was lacking before.
Yeah.
That kind of like the fear of commitment, the fear of maybe not making it, as opposed to, you know what, I'm going to commit 150%. And if I don't quote unquote make it, then I don't make it, but I have to give it 150%.
Well, yeah, yeah. That's what I was looking for. I was like, there has to be
There
something
you go.
that Paul's like, and here I am.
And here I am.
No, no, we got to give it because it's important. I think, I like to think about the person who's in Kentucky or who's in Miami, who's listening to this or wherever. They're like, what do I need to be doing, or what can I be doing differently? And it sounds like one thing possibly is committing more, right? To really going all in more. And I know you don't remember this, but maybe you do. We had a lot of conversations about something I want to talk about later about like uh the theaters you started. You've been co-art, artistic director and stuff. And you started, but like, actors coming along and making sure that they are fully committed to this, are fully committed to the lines, fully committed to going all in, like, and all of that. And so I guess that makes sense to me now that, stepping up to that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. So, but so when did it really take off for you? Because again, like Paul, I mean, real talk, actors again would 98%, to use your words, would love the career that you've had. You know what I mean? And I know you're like, I gotta pound the pavement too still, but I know, like,
Yeah.
that's because you're just humble. Paul, come on.
No, man, no, but you do. I mean, you always have to, no matter what level you get to, there's always a wanting to achieve more,
Right. Okay. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And so you're asking me, when did it actually shift?
Yeah, when did it take off? Like, I mean, because I see this stuff, like you're saying, you got your first film and stuff like that. But when did it take off? Was it after working with Tarantino? Was it after, like, the play which you
Oh,
did
no,
with De Niro? Was it Sam Jackson? Like,
no,
when would?
no, it was way before, way before. Again, it was within that 1 month period
Wow.
where that voice said commit 150%.
Mm.
I think that was like 1984.
Paul, I was born in '84.
And
I'm
there
just messing
you
with
go.
you.
And I've been at
I'm
it for
just messing
7
with you.
years
I can
already.
always mess with you.
Hey, I believe it, man.
No, I wasn't. I'm 70s.
Well,
Keep going.
you look like you're 35, brother. So,
Thanks, brother.
hey,
Thanks, brother.
yeah, no, you do. You do. So it was in 84, and it was again, oh man, it's hard not trying to answer your questions without telling the story. There was a play in New York, again, within that 1 month period of hearing that voice in my head, that was being cast in New York. It was a
Okay.
revival of Short Eyes, Miguel Piñero's Short Eyes in New York City. And Lawrence Fishburne was in it. Ving Rhames was in it. Esai Morales was in it. Michael O'Keefe, who had been nominated for Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for The Great Santini, fresh from it, was in it. Richard Bright, this actor who had worked with Laurence Olivier, Marlon Brando, Steve McQueen, was
Yes.
in it.
Wow.
And David Patrick Kelly, great theater and film actor. Who have you ever seen The Warriors? The film Warriors.
All right. So
Maybe no, no. I know you're
everybody,
bad at films.
what Paul is doing that you all do not know. Paul, Paul is messing
Me and
with me.
Titus. Yeah.
Him and Titus, they mess with me on set because I think the words they used were cinematically bankrupt. And then
Mhm. That
because
was Titus. That was Titus.
I don't know a lot of my cinema. And so Paul's messing with me. You all know I haven't seen The Warriors. Keep going, Paul.
No, I don't know. Maybe it's a famous film. It's a famous film. So anyway, David Patrick was in it. And then this great actor director was directing it, Kevin Conway, whom
Mm.
I had seen in many projects and had admired. Right, but it was an equity project. It was being cast by this famous casting director in New York, and I didn't even have an equity card, so I wasn't even equity because all my showcases had been off Broadway, off Broadway. I said, "How do I get? How do I get in? How do I get in? How
Yeah.
do I get in?" And this is going to lead back to the voice in my head. Yes, good connection there. So I got I submitted my picture and resume, never heard anything back. So I looked up the director's address in the white pages. This is during the time we had to get the big white pages, open it, and search and search and search, right? And then I found out, oh, heck, he only lives like 20 blocks away, literally. He lived on 63rd and Central Park West. I lived on 86th Street between Central Park and Columbus.
Mm.
I said, I'll take my picture and resume. I'll take it over to his place and slip it underneath his door. Right? I'll just look up his apartment number in the lobby.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
so I went, but there was a doorman, big doorman with a big uniform on,
Yeah.
right? And a big expensive building. This is Central Park West. Only people with money live there.
Yeah.
So I waited until the doorman turned away. I rushed
No
in,
way.
right, and I looked at the name. It's a third floor, 3C, and I went towards the elevator. Then I heard this voice say, "Hey, kid!" It wasn't the voice in my head.
It wasn't the voice.
It was the doorman. It was the doorman. He said, "Hey, kid, where you going?" I said, "Oh, I'm just taking this up to Mr. Conway's apartment." He said, "Well, he's not here." I said, he said, "I'll give it to him. Here, give it to me." He took it. I said, "He's never gonna see that. He's never gonna see that."
Mhm.
Right? I didn't hear anything back. Another week. Then a friend of mine who knew someone who knew the director said, "Let me step in for you. Um, let me see what I can do." So his friend got me an audition.
Oh.
Right? I went in and I auditioned. This is a prison play. Originally, James Edward Olmos was supposed to do the role, but he was doing Miami Vice. And I auditioned. I remember riddling my arms with homemade tattoos, that and just I went in looking like the role, right? And I auditioned, and the director was there, Kevin was there, his casting director, Nancy was there. Um, and they said, "Okay, thank you."
Mhm.
After I auditioned, I walk out, didn't hear a thing, right? So 2 nights later, I can't sleep. It's like 11 at night. So I used to take these long walks, and I took a long, 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 long walk to 42nd Street, Times Square, and back home. It's just like 40, 50 blocks.
Mhm.
So on the way back, I have to pass by Lincoln Center, which still has this famous restaurant called Ernie's. And as I'm walking, I see the director with his assistant director walking, crossing the street, coming towards me, and I want to evade them because I didn't get cast.
Right, right, right.
Right? I said, "Dad, I want to avoid an embarrassment here, right?"
Mhm.
And Kevin's got his head down like this, looking down, big mane of hair. He's looking down, dressed in black as he was always. And Nancy, his assistant, looked up and she saw me, and there was a look of shock. And then she nudged Kevin, and Kevin looked up, and he looked up at me, and we're crossing, basically crossing the street in the middle of the street. He's crossing south, I'm crossing north, and he turns around as though he's seen a ghost. And he says, "Paul." And I
Mm.
said, "Hey, Kevin, good luck with the play."
Yeah.
and I hurried away. Next day, I get a call. They want to see me again.
Oh, yeah.
I go in, I audition again, and Kevin's excited, excited, excited about my audition. He's talking to me before I go in. He's giving me all these adjustments. I audition. After I auditioned, he said, "Great, great, great." An hour later, you've been cast.
Really?
Now, Kevin said, like 20 minutes before we ran into each other, he was in the restaurant with Nancy having dinner saying, "This play's not going to work if I don't find," the name of the character was Juan.
Mm-hmm.
"If I don't find this Juan, he's the moral center of the piece. It's not going to work." She said, "I have a feeling that we're going to work out, and within 5 minutes, you're going to run into your Juan."
No way.
And literally, it was like as soon as they left, they were running into me. So that's how I got cast. So that play was the one that I became equity. I got my first agent out
Mm-hmm.
of that. I
Yeah.
got cast in a Miami Vice episode out of that. Yeah. So again, see synchronistic events that happen.
Well, I think it's a little bit of that head. I mean, that voice in your head, right? Like because what you're saying is, I take these walks at night. I took a 40 block walk that like led
Mm-hmm.
you to get up and walk. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
Paul, I mean, if you don't listen to this voice in your head, it told you to marry your wife. It told you to like, go back at like it's I think what I take away from that story is to really get still and trust the voice inside of us, to trust that inner peace in that word. That's what I hear from it, a little bit more, because it seems like it's been guiding you really well.
Yeah, because many times we allow the rational part of ourselves to kind of like lead the way, And rationale is good,
Hmm.
but it's not all of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have to go to the irrational parts of ourselves, right? To see what's dwelling or swimming in the cellar,
Right.
you know. And sometimes it bubbles up in dreams, in images, in feelings, and many times we just push it away as opposed to, okay, let me allow it to just surface. Maybe let me just have a conversation with, and
Mm.
see what it has to say.
How do you think the industry's changed? I mean, you've been in it for
Oh,
so many years. Like, I mean, what? I come on. I want to hear how it's evolved for you. I got so many. I just like, I feel like I'm sitting in front of an open book, and I just want to, like, how's it changed for you?
in the old days, we used to go and audition for casting directors. They would read with you. They'd say, let's just do a warm up. Let's
Hmm.
just warm up. Let's just read. Then you would read. Sometimes they would record you with a uh, uh, big camera with the VHS tapes. And sometimes, okay, let's do it again. And they would give you a couple of adjustments, as opposed to the way it is now. I hear is that it's just quick in, out, in, out, in, out. There's not a sense of, as a matter of fact, you don't audition. You don't go into the offices
You're
now, right?
self-taping.
The self tapes, right? So during that time, there was a unique quality of being there with the casting director who knew what they wanted. If you got past that, which was always the screening process, you would be brought back for the director who never used a frigging camera.
Yeah.
Many times that they would read with you as well. They just wanted to see you. They wanted to see your eyes, right? And that's man. I met so many amazing directors. Like, I mean, Tarantino. That's how I met him. He wasn't using a camera
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
I auditioned with Tarantino. He's just sitting there, just
Hmm.
hovering over his desk, watching me. And I think he was reading with. Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Sidney Lumet read with me. Many times Sidney Pollack. I just met Sidney Pollack's a very, very famous director who's no longer with us. But he said, yeah, he just wants to meet you at his apartment. And because he's casting this film, I met him. He just told me what he was looking for. I didn't even audition. Just, okay, let me see, to get a feel. Terrence Malick, another famous director, um, just met him, went up to his place, just sat, we talked. He was going to cast me, but then the project fell through. And many other instances where it was, okay, let's just meet. There was a rawness, there was an intimacy that is lacking now. I mean, self-taping is great because you can correct your mistakes, you can do it over and over and over again, but it doesn't have that. You don't have that immediate transmission of knowledge and
Mm.
just power. That's part of the interchange between you and an amazing director who has vast knowledge that he's just sharing just by he being in your presence.
Hey, actor. Are you constantly questioning what it takes to stand out in your self tapes? Wondering if your backdrop's color really matters? Or should you or shouldn't you use props in your audition? Or maybe what are casting directors really looking for in those first crucial 10 seconds? Hey, it's Dajuan, the self tape guy, and I've got you covered. After surveying 800 actors in my self tape challenge, I've compiled their top 10 questions into an exclusive playbook just for you. No more guesswork, no more uncertainty, and certainly no more stress. Get those answers you need to elevate your self tapes at www.selftapeplaybook.com. I got equipment, I talk about props, wardrobe, and eye lines. I got you covered. It's high time for your self tapes to stop being an obstacle to booking your dream role. Let's bring the joy of acting back into your life. Head on over to selftapeplaybook.com today, right now, so you can share in this success. I had to write that down. I haven't heard anybody say it like that. The immediate transmission of knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Like it really, I'm on that side of self tapes are great for the sense of, because I have a family, I'm trying to like juggle kids, and I could just do it
Hmm.
at my own time. I don't have to be more upstate or wherever you are, in the city or wherever I am in Los Angeles. I have to be somewhere at a certain time. But that is something I do miss. I was just, when you were talking, I was like, gosh, right. I did meet Aaron Sorkin, when he was doing Newsroom. When I was in the room, he was there reading with, and you do miss those elements. And him just being like, can you take this again and do this? And it's like, it's really interesting that there is an immediate transmission of knowledge that is missing. And I just never thought about it that way, Paul. And, so thank you for opening that piece up. How are you doing with self tapes? Do you not do them, or you're not auditioning like that? Or people just be like, I want Paul.
No, I mean the last self tape that I did was back in December, I think, January.
Yeah.
Didn't get the role. It was a big project, and I knew there was going to be a lot of competition. It was an open-ended role. They could go with any ethnicity, and it was a lot of dialogue. So
As you remember. Yeah.
yeah, a couple of monologues as well, which is very, very rare for a on-camera project. Also, the last one I did. And before that,
Hmm.
it was one for a Marvel project that I did, which I got.
I mean, I have so many questions about that. I saw that, but it's not out yet, so I know you can't talk about it. But it
Oh
was.
yeah, and it's not a very big role, but it was a pivotal. It's a it's a pivotal character.
Mhm.
That's why I wanted to do it. And it wasn't easy, but that, and then maybe in the last 5, 6 years, maybe I've gone on tape maybe 4 or 5 times. And I know people do it. I have a friend of mine who does like 2 or 3 of them a week.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like overnighters.
Hmm.
And I could no, I can't do that. I would need. I always say, hey, listen, if I'm going to self tape, I'm going to need time.
Hmm.
You know, because if I want to do something, I want to do it with some kind of substance as opposed to just very, very robotic. I mean, that's what they're asking for many times these days. But for me, also as a director of theater, I want to be able to explore the complexities of the moments and the characters and the interchange and all that good stuff, as opposed to just they should just memorizing the lines and just you making a choice and just writing with it. There's nothing wrong with that. I just don't like it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Paul, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask this question. I just want to make sure I get this for me more than anybody else is, Paul, when you get a script, when you get some sides, when somebody calls you like Marvel or, or I don't know, somebody, a TV or film, and they're like, hey, can you audition for this? How do you start to create what's your process? How do you create these characters? I just want to know, Paul, like you get like because you come up with such, like when I see you, they're very flushed out. And of course I'm seeing it on screen, right? I'm seeing it on screen when I see these people. But how do you start that process from audition to screen? I just want to hear, man. I'm just gonna sit back and listen.
Yeah, I was very lucky, because when the school that I went to, I told you, Stanislavski, blah blah blah. They were very big on script analysis.
Hmm.
Their script analysis was very, I mean, I almost want to say painful, but painful in a good way. It's like being an athlete. You have to, if you want to succeed, you have to go through the rigors of the training. You see the outcome on TV, right? A guy dunking or a guy running, right? Or a guy catching a ball, hitting a ball. Looks amazing. But you don't see the hours and hours and months and years that goes into breaking that down into an art form. So
Mm.
the script analysis that we were taught was just like we would just take a scene and we just break it apart like a scientist dissecting a corpse.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know this, that, this, that, that. Sometimes when someone asks me to help them with an audition, which I rarely do, they say, how'd you see that? I don't see that, but how'd you see that? I say, it's right there. It's right there because we were trained to see the components of a scene. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. You put them together. Boom, 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 boom,
Mhm.
boom. And it involves subtext and inner monologue and pre-beat and post-beat and tactics and the the overall spine of what's happening and many other things that just that the more you do it, the more you see. You know, I don't get to the point where I'm doing it like I used to do because it's already there. So when I see something, it's almost like I start seeing the components, the dynamic components that are that are alive in the scene.
Hmm.
I don't know if that makes any sense.
Well, it does. I mean, I think in script analysis, it sounds like a little bit like the Matrix, like things like highlight to you, like, do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? And it's like, oh, and it comes together really nicely, and you infuse it with yourself or with you, And so
yeah,
it made perfect sense to me. I was like eating popcorn over here, like say more.
yeah. Because when I'm directing, it's the same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So and always, it's like, okay, let me take a risk, let me take a chance. Um, how much do I do? How little do I do? Do I need to? So it's almost like a predator.
Hmm. Yeah.
I see where I'm
Focus. We're going to
shooting.
use the word focused.
Fuck yeah.
It's a better word, Paul.
There you go. There you go. But again, so with focus, I see, okay, where am I shooting? What do I have available
Hmm. Hmm.
to aid me in this scene? Even standing, if I'm standing, if it's a two-character scene or three-character scene or four-character scene, if one is sitting, how are they sitting? So
Yeah.
depending on how they're sitting, how do I sit? If they're standing, how do I stand? How are they holding their hands? Um, are they coming from somewhere? And are they going somewhere? Before the scene and at the end of the scene, are they going somewhere? Before a scene, where are they coming from? So all these things are happening. I mean, and I had a couple of not fights, but arguments with directors because, and again, I don't feel so,
Yeah.
I don't argue that much, but I make suggestions.
Hmm.
I make suggestions. What if, what if, what if, what if, and what if, and as opposed to, oh, they're going to tell me. I'll just rely on what they tell me, which most of the times is nothing.
Nothing. Nothing. You don't get that. Yeah. You do not get that.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. So, I'm home. I'm looking for something. Like I'm looking at the script, but I just, uh, I mean, he's a little bit obsessive
Hmm.
about it because I know what am I missing? What am I? It's always about what am I missing? What am I missing? What am I missing? What am I missing?
Mm.
The
Mm.
week might the scenes might be the next day, but what am I missing? What am I? Because you're bound to be missing something.
Yeah.
Bound to be missing something. No matter uh, how much scrutiny you put into something, you're always going to be missing something.
Yeah.
A little detail, little might, it could be in the reading of one single word. Does it go up? Does it go down? Does it stay flat? it's very technical, but at the same time, it's very like now it's ingesting it into your system, allowing it to be part of your physicality. So
Hmm.
you're free as opposed to stilted.
Yeah.
And
You know,
that's again being like an athlete.
when you were telling that story about like, what are you missing and like, just the stuff on set, I just had this recollection of this memory of you. This is going to sound weird, everybody, but like watching Paul teach me how to eat on set. Because because I think I took like a big bite or something, and you're like, all right, can't wait to see how this turns out. And I just was not, I didn't know that you take like a little bite or like, or don't, or just, it was just one of the, I don't remember. I remember a chip or something like that. And then it came back to me. There was another actor that like went out to lunch and ate heavy lunch or had a Sprite or something, had a sugar.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's at
And
the
you,
warehouse with the owl.
yes, the owl. And you were like, that's not going to end well. And it just didn't. And so, everything you're saying, Paul, I just have very good memories of you. So much so that I want to make sure that if anybody is watching this on YouTube, I want to I gotta show you a little bit what Paul did to me. You guys got to see this thing that I'm showing everybody. This was Paul one
Yeah.
day challenged me to do pull-ups on
Oh
this
wow.
bar. And so here I am in the middle of Los Angeles trying to do pull-ups, and Paul was supposed to do a pull-up with me. But I'm just gonna just show you everybody. He didn't do it. He didn't. Look at this. He didn't do it. I want to make look at this guy. Look, yeah.
oh, I can't, I can't, I can't, I can't.
You can't, and then, and I just want to make sure, Paul, that so just so we see here one more time, everybody, I did the pull up. I mean, I am a little bit younger than you, but I did the pull up, and it was,
There you go.
Paul, I enjoy talking to you so much. I guess I got my final question here is just like, what would you say to any actors, out there right now, like that, we just been through a strike, we just went through a pandemic. It seems like a
Mm.
lot of the energy out there right now, Paul, is not feeling, it's just not feeling hopeful. I know a lot of actors are not feeling hopeful. And I think you've been in this industry, if I may say, long enough to see a lot of ups and, as you said, a lot of downs.
Hmm.
What would you say to the actors out there, us, and like this about, I don't know, sticking with it maybe, or going back to anthropology? Like, I don't know. Like, what would you say, man?
Ah, you have to create. I mean, if you want to
Yes.
be an actor, you want to be an actor because you want to. There's a creative force there,
Mm-hmm.
but acting is just one component. So my son, my oldest son, has decided to become an actor.
As he
When I
chuckles.
found out about when I found out about it, it was my wife. We were drinking coffee, and she said, "Why don't you put that cup down? I want to tell you something." I said, "No, no, I'm fine. Tell me." When she said, "He's decided," she uttered my oldest son's name. He said, "He's decided to become an actor." I almost spat the coffee out.
She warned you. She warned you.
Yeah, she wanted me. She wanted me because she knows how I feel. But you know what? He's a hard worker. He graduated from Temple uh,
Yeah.
Theater School there. He went to Stella Adler here. He's met some great people. And just within the last year, and he helped me. Comes away and asks me to help him with the self tape. So he got an FBI Most Wanted. Then he got a Law and Order, and he wrote a play. But I always tell them, when things are, I said a lot of times is downtime. Downtime. What do you do with your downtime? It's what do you do? If there are no auditions, if there are no self tapes to be done, what do you do with that time? There's a creative force that wants to express itself. So
Mhm.
you have a cell phone. You can like write your own little vignettes and shoot your own little vignettes. You can study. You can study, cinematography. You can study um, art. You can just the writing. I mean, I'm working on another play right now. As you know, after I'm done here, I'm gonna go back and try and finish this one particular scene that I'm working on with this play that I'm writing. Right, and during the pandemic, I think I wrote like 4 full-length plays.
Wow.
Uh, because if you don't take it onto yourself to create, again, can I write? Anyone can write because we're actors. We know about dialogue. Okay, let me just write a vignette. Remember writing a full-length play, which we put up here, with the theater company that I'm co-artistic director of, and it was all based on a little 4-page vignette. I wrote a 128-page play, and we put it up, and it's great. And so you never know where the writing's going to go. So writing is creative. You have your cell phone. Um, you can you can edit stuff now that the
Yeah.
way we couldn't do in the old days, so you have all these tools at your disposal. Use them.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
don't wait to be validated from the outside.
Hmm.
Just grab the bull by the horns and say, okay, I'm going to create. Whether it's good or not, who the hell knows? Is it going to be successful or not? I don't know, but at least I'm creating something which is going to stir the pot. It's going to make it bubble, as opposed to just everything on the top of the pot just dipping down to the bottom and just.
Sedentary. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. I love this creative force thing. Two things that I just wanted to circle back to that you just said. You said my wife knew how I felt, about when she was going to tell you that your son was.
Mhm.
How do you feel? Is it about acting? Because I don't know. Or is it? What is it? What is that part?
What do you mean?
Well, you were saying my wife knew how I felt about acting because your son, and so, but I was like, what is that? I don't know how you feel.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Because right now I'm writing a play about a youngish,
Hmm.
struggling actor in LA.
Hmm. Hmm. Why did you look at me when you said that? Like, I don't, I don't appreciate that, Paul.
I was looking at my own reflection. No, but it's about no. This guy's
Yeah.
like really young. He's been out in
Mhm.
LA for about 8 years. He's still struggling, and most of the times, again, it's a struggle. So, are you willing to put up with these struggles?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard. It's not easy. But again, I go back to being an athlete. If you want to be an athlete, 85% of school athletes, don't make it
Yeah.
to the NBA or to MLB or to the NFL. They don't make it. But does that mean that they shouldn't have tried? If you love something, if you want something, go for it. And for me, it took me 7 years. I was already, ready to quit. And mind you, there have been times when I've said I've had enough of this over the years. And maybe just last week, I said,
Yeah.
"This is it. I'm done," because you're gonna go through those
Right.
moments of doubt and indecision and fear and everything else. It's like being a parent,
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way of putting
you
it.
know? Yeah. So
Never feel like
that's
you're good
why.
enough as a parent. Never.
No, exactly, exactly, exactly. And as an actor, you feel that you're never good enough,
Yeah.
because you're gonna have rejections.
Yeah.
You're gonna have countless rejections, more rejections than you have acceptances.
Hmm.
But is it something that you want to do? And at the end, if it's something that you want to do it, do it, and whatever happens, happens. But if you really want to do something, do it. Don't do it because you want a result to be a certain way. If you really want to do something for the love of it, do it.
Hmm.
Don't say, "Well, I'm only going to do it if it's only going to work out." You don't know if it's going to work out.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
don't know.
Hmm.
But are you willing to take that risk of not knowing and putting that aside and saying, "I'm just going to do this because I freaking love this and I want to create and I don't want to be sedentary with just the acting, which many times 90%, 80% of the time you're sedentary with it.
Hmm.
Let me be active with it. Let me get a group together. Let me just, hey, let's get together. Let's just read scenes together. Let's just shoot scenes with the iPhones together. Let's just create, see what happens. Anything and everything.
I love it. Mm. Well, will you tell us where you're an artistic director at, and so people can come see your stuff when it's up and ready, and the theater company there, you let us know, because I need to come see you more, man, in New York. I'm gonna claim a show. I need to get out there and do it.
Well, right now, the first 5 years, we created the company 9 years ago.
Mhm.
It's called Primitive Grace Ensemble.
Okay. Okay.
Within the first 5 years, we put up 5 productions, which is very, very rare for a new theater company.
Hmm.
Then the pandemic came and hit us, and we're still trying. We're attempting to resurface. As a matter of fact, we have a meeting in about a week and a half. We urge our members to create, to write. Uh, David Zay he's just finished this David. What was his name? John Patrick Shanley play
Hmm.
on Broadway, and he got nominated for a Tony
Hmm.
just last year for this other play, The Cost of Living. He's co-artistic director,
Oh, right on.
and when I first met him, he he was a cop and he didn't know how to act. He wanted to be an actor. He'd been
Mm.
on the force for 12 years. Now he's like really freaking successful,
Yes.
and he's A, because he wanted it. He
Yeah.
wanted it. He wanted it. As a matter of fact, he was encouraged not to pursue it
Hmm.
by some acting teachers that said you don't have any talent.
Wow. Yeah.
And he's an amazing actor.
I think he's doing okay, right? I mean,
He's
he's doing all
yeah,
right.
he's doing okay.
He's doing all right.
But
All
again,
right.
he has the same philosophy. Put the work in. It's a lot of hard
Yes.
work.
It is. It is. And I know there's a lot of ups and downs, and sometimes those walls we hit, they become like fortresses almost, instead of just something we can get around or break through, and so I think you
Right.
have to see some of that stuff. So that's why I think talking to, actors like yourself, or people like yourself that lived a full life as well. You have a full life as
Yeah.
well, and you're doing
Hmm.
these other things, and you're acting as well. Paul, I could talk to you all day, because I think you're just the greatest. And I'm sorry I had to show those pictures, but I needed to show. I had to have proof out there that the young man beat up on the young blood, which followed me for years, and I'm not certain
Yes.
that you didn't start Youngblood on that show. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
thank you so much, Paul. Thank you so much for being here, man.
Of course, man. Of course. Again, man. Hey, listen, man. Just seeing you again, talking with you again, having fun with you again. Beautiful thing.
Yeah, love it. I love it. Okay, okay. Paul said a lot. Paul said a lot of good things in this interview, and I hope you will put this on the socials, you'll repost it, and you'll let me know what was your favorite part of this. But what I want to do is take a second in this D12 shot and just say thank you one more time to Paul Calderón. I mean, I just want to really say it to him, because we don't always get a mentor in this industry. We don't. And, he probably wouldn't think of himself as a mentor, because he just thinks he's just a sweet guy, but we don't get that. And someone who looks out for us, someone who literally takes us under their wing and works with us. And Paul was that for me during Bosch in season 3. And season 3 of Bosch, I had just, seen him on Fear of the Walking Dead. And then I got to work with him. I was like, Paul, and I've seen him in other stuff too, but like just the timing of the synchronicity of that was surreal. And sometimes I just wasn't getting something on set, and I asked him to run a scene with me, or what were his thoughts on a certain portion, and he just obliged without hesitation. It was like, here, let me just we talked it through, or we ran the scene, and he never, and I mean never, made me feel bad about it. Never looked down on me, and he never made me feel a kind of weird way about asking another actor to, like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you nothing. He was a freaking mentor. That is the definition of a mentor. And then we came back for our second season in season 4, when we worked together, and then he became a brother. He became a brother, even though I already know this, but he reminded me to stop and speak to everyone on set crew, crafty, wardrobe, everybody. Just be personable with everybody. He was a perfect person who showed up at just the right time in my career and my life. And I'm so glad. I'm so glad I got to work with him. And I'm so glad he agreed to come on the pod and share himself with all of you, because this will be out there for forever. As long as I pay the bill in the pod, it is out there. And that makes me just so great. So I'm going to give you an extra helping of, that was the thank you part of the D12 shot. But let me just say this to you. The cult of average would have you believe that mentors, friends on sets, brothers in arms or sisters in arms, or people in arms are not out there. That everyone on set is not friendly, that you can't talk to certain people because they're above us. We have to, stay in our place. The cult of average, the group actor think, would have you believe that this is only a solo profession. I found that not to be true. And I want to say to you, we're out there. We are out there. Not everyone has the time or energy to be this person that I'm talking about, to be a mentor, and that's okay. That's understandable. But that doesn't mean that we are not out there. We are. When you find them, someone who's been in the business for a while and is sharing positive energy with you, gobble it up. Be quiet, sit there and listen. And trust me, you don't have to follow everything that person says, but it is really, really great to hear about the acting world, about the craft. People love it. Wow, gobble it up. But more than that, be that for someone else. Be that for someone else. There is no one, and I mean no one in all the time I've been on set that can say Dajuan Johnson is hard to work with or was rude or gave me a bad vibe. No, on the opposite. Why? Because I know how stressful, scary, and challenging it can be sometimes to walk on a set for the first time or the ninth time and not know anyone or work with opposite some of the greats. None of that, because that's what happened when I was working with Paul. I'd already been on the show for a long time, but when I got to work with Paul, be that for somebody else. That's all I really want to say. I want you to be great. I want you to be you. Be the person you want to meet in this industry, and that person will show up for you and match your energy. Be that. So I want to end this way I always end this. Don't quit. Don't get out of line. Borrow my faith in you. And at all costs, hold the vision, not the circumstance. I'll see you next week.